I'm going to be quick. I'm going to be concise. I'm going to give you a quick rundown before I start this. So again, I'm Alex Smith, owner of Spartan Solar. I run as the CRO in the company. I've been in the industry 10 years. So I've been doing this for a little while now. First 4 years were in California. I was with two companies before starting my own, which was Spartan Solar. So I've only been with a total of three companies altogether. Uh, and as Spartan has grown and evolved, a lot of things have changed over the years. At one point, we were just a dealer at scale. We got to 7 to 8 megawatts as a dealer, working with a ton of EPCs, seeing the insides and the guts of a lot of different installers. The good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And one thing I realized I thought the dealership model was the way for a little while. I thought autonomy and optionality was key. Quickly found out that that really didn't work out the way I thought it would because a lot of installers can shit the bed all together at once. They can stop paying, they could have bad timelines, have issues with adders, lenders can cut them off. And so ran into a ton of hurdles with that where I kind of feel like I was betting on hope in the industry, right? Like you just hope every installer does their job and they execute and it becomes, a good collaborative effort. Each side fulfilling its duties, but ran into a lot of roadblocks where it didn't come true. So that ultimately led to Spartan Solar evolving and becoming its own installer. So we became SpartanX, our own installer last January. And that was a huge evolution, something I never really expected I was going to do, especially because there's a big undertaking that goes in with becoming your own installer, of course. And a lot of people that have done it and tried it, it didn't go too well before. So I didn't really want to stub my toes and hit any misses up and put my guys through any pain in that process. But luckily, me and Brian Schoenbeck, we met on a golf trip a year prior with Jeff Mendez, and we became business partners and launched SpartanX together. And he already successfully built the largest residential installer in the state of Florida, Atlantic Key Energy. They exited for about 100 million. He was a CEO of a billion-dollar company for 2 years as a contingency, overseeing tens of thousands of installs a year. And his expertise and experience and skill set was very complementary toward mine. And at the end of the day, you really just want to run with people that are willing to fight to the death and they have complementary skill sets. If you can put those two things in the pot as partners, you're going to have I think, a pretty good chance of success. And so that's what's led to the evolution of Spartan today, right? So last January, a brand new installer. They didn't install any solar. We brought in all the best operators that Brian's known over the last decade into the company. We continue to pick up the best players in the company. And the whole goal is just to remove all the friction and bullshit that we've had to deal with as a dealer at scale, right? We've dealt with it all. And we deal with adders, timelines, all these things that just show up and just keep surprising your people and keep leaving them to fight what feels like unwinnable battles that you're just, at the end feeling like a firefighter at scale. That's just not a fun way to lead. So, we just looked at the company and the business and we always look at it through the same lens, which is like, where is the friction? Where are there issues? Where's the red that we can run to go solve so that we can defeat these problems? Because in the industry, there's not really a ton of unique problems, right? There's what we call pattern problems that aren't unique to me or to you. They just kind of show up everywhere in the industry, and a lot of it comes down to like missing transparency, lack of clarity. And so our goal is really to kill politics, kill confusion, so we can increase morale, increase productivity, and therefore we have healthy turnover. The right people come and join, and the wrong people leave. And so far, that's gone pretty well. So last January, really, came out of a little bit of a tough spot because we had 6 months of installers not paying us to the tune of $4.8 million. That hurt quite a bit in 2024. So we had to kind of rebuild a bit, and we were doing at that point about, first month we did about 160 projects in January, and now flash forward to last month, we did 10.2 megawatts. So massive shift in 15 months. And really the main thing that changed is we control our own destiny. We control the timelines. We're fully competent and capable of becoming the best and being the best, and we want to be the best. And I think there's a lack of people that want to be the best in the world in this industry. I think a lot of installers and a lot of companies are rather complacent and they don't seek evolutions. They don't seek greatness. And so therefore they don't become great and they eventually die. And we're seeing a lot of companies die left and right because of this. And Spartan, its unique advantage is that everyone here genuinely has gone through just about everything the industry has to offer. And everyone here wants to be the pound for pound best in the world at what we do. On the sales side, on the tech side, on the ops side, on the field side, on the lead side, like we just want to be the best. And when you're with a company that wants to be the best, it just continues to evolve. And so that's led us to where we're at today. Now, my goal on this call is to show you everything that I wanted to see as a leader, right? When I was looking at various EPCs as a dealer, doing a ton of volume, I would always ask a lot of questions, try to dig in as much as I could, but I didn't always really get shown everything. So one thing I kind of regret in hindsight is that I should have required them to screen share and just show me the truth, every single one of them. So I knew the exact weeds of what was happening today, not the promise for the future, right? But like what's happening today in the company. And sure, you're going to get better. We all believe we want to get better, but like what's the truth as it stands today? Because that's something I could build off of if there's clarity around that. So my goal in this call is just to give you guys the truth as to where the company stands today, as well as some of what's happening tomorrow and what's going into the future. So I'm just going to share my screen and just start running through this. And keep in mind, guys, I'm you, you are me. My first year, I installed and self-genned 112 systems in California. I've installed and sold a ton of solar systems over the years. So we have a unique vantage point as owners of the company. Me and Brian have both sold and installed a ton of solar. He's sold and installed a ton of alarms as well. So we come from the sales mind, which helps a lot. But then we have the operations know-how to be effective. So we hit from both ends, which is unique. So I'm going to share my screen and show you guys this. All right, can everyone see this? Boom. Okay,
Yep.
I'm going to go through this in order of company, high level, and then we'll go down. We'll shrink down from, high to low. But really, Spartan Solar as a whole, again, been around since January 2025. We've evolved a ton over the time. Now, in the home, the main thing I always lead with was building trust, right? So I think if you could, build trust in the home quickly through third-party evidence, you're much more likely to have an open buyer to hearing what you have to say. So as it relates to trust, we have a 4.9 star, about to be over 1,000 reviews. We keep having over 1,000 reviews, and some reviews disappear. I don't fucking get what happens there, but 1,000+ reviews, 4.9 stars, 300+ photos. These are legit reviews earned over the last 5 years. This is a huge help in the home, number one. Number two, we're an A+ on the BBB. Not easy to do. Soon to be accredited as well. Accreditation is kind of a scam. I don't know if you guys know that, but it is kind of a scam. But either way, we'll still get it just because. And then on top of that, our install map, we do hundreds and hundreds of installs every month right now in-house. Everything is in-house at this point. We have 70 SpartanX trucks across the nation, which is a lot. And I know Val's on this call, so you can imagine scaling to that in 12 months, what that's like. It's quite a bit of growth. But we can see here, this is just another tool in your tool belt. A lot of local installs in every state, so you can lean into the 5-star reviews on Google, A+ on the BBB, and then all the local installs that continue to compound every single day. Right now, we're doing anywhere between 10 to 30 installs per day. And that right there is really all the social proof I've ever needed, along with some testimonial videos, to earn the trust of clients in the home. So they don't only just sign today, but they don't cancel when you leave the house and they find something that seems off. So that's who we are in a nutshell right there. Now, the next thing that, I think is really important to understand is like, okay, that's great. You have a good presence. There's a lot of great companies out there that have shitty timelines, but they do good business, right? Like they actually land the project. I've worked with these installers. They do good business. The customers end up being happy that do get installed, but they don't have urgency in their pipeline. They don't have urgency in the timelines. And that's not a good, that's not, leader's best friend is a good timelines. So your people could get paid, as we say. So I just want to show you the real receipts and timelines as it stands. This is live in our dashboard, and I'll refresh this today just to prove that. So this is since January 12th. So this is an aggregate over 2,000 accounts in this parameter between January 12th to April 14th. We're going to refresh this now so it's live because this is the live data. This is the truth. This is what matters. And then we're always going to get better, right? We can always throw that in there. So refresh now. So first of all, nationwide, we're in 9 states, soon to be 10, 11 states. We do 24-hour site surveys across the board. That's our standard to be able to schedule for next day site survey. It's a click of a button. You don't call in anywhere. So it's 24 to 48-hour site surveys everywhere we are, because that's really what starts the shot clock. For those of you guys that understand this in solar, it's all about getting that complete package on a site survey so the engineering team can get to work so you can then submit for permits and utility approval. Because at the end of the day, this is just a game of hot potato. It's how fast can you get a site survey done perfectly. So then you could create perfect permit packets and utility submissions, and then the potato lays in their hands. And you got to wait for them to approve it. And from there, you can utilize predictive modeling based on data to know when everything will get approved. So you can actually start scheduling it in advance based on predictive modeling. But at the end of the day, it's still in their hands by the AHJ and utility. So nationwide, our average site survey to ready to schedule. That means we have permit approval and utility approval if required. A lot of states we're in require utility prelim approval. We do not cut corners. That is not an option. Is 22 days. Our nationwide site survey to install complete is 29 days. And this is while we've been adding in a ton of new states, a ton of new markets. And so this timeline will just continuously come down. The more we scale, the faster everything gets. Unlike most companies, they tend to get slower because they don't have good forecasting, they don't have good predictive modeling. So most companies, when volume starts to hit, like we doubled from February to March, and we didn't slow down. And not many companies could go from 500 sales to 1,000 sales and not slow down. But with good forecasting, good predictive modeling, good field resource planning, you can do that. So you could do what we call the impossible on a regular basis if you have the systems dialed. And we're one company. So there's no dealers, there's no, installer. This is SpartanX. All the tech's basically in-house. Operations, field, trucks, sales, everything is in-house. So we have tight feedback loops to keep timelines tight. But that's what we're looking at nationwide. And then our install to PTO nationwide since January 12th is 22.25 days. And according to Lightreach, and I've seen all their data, they show us the data on every installer. Of the top 5 installers on volume, we're number 2. We're the second largest partner of all of Lightreach. And we are number 1 in the nation on first time submission pass rate for install completion photos and first time submission pass rate for PTO. So that's a pretty big notch in our belt to be the best quality installer nationwide. And that's, I think, the earmark for that. And we've seen the data. That's what that tells us. We are number 1 based on the top 5 volume players in the country, which has earned us something called Pay at Submittal. So we're one of 3 companies with Pay at Submittal. And what that means is, I don't know if you guys have ever had to wait on pay from a lender, even Lightreach, right? Where they were saying, hey, we're waiting for it to get reviewed or it got rejected. We have to resubmit. Yeah, that doesn't happen with Spartan. When we submit, they just pay us because our quality of work is so good. And they'll go review it in the background and reject it if they need to. But we can still get paid and pay you quickly. This way, you always have next Friday or the following Friday pay just based on the day of the week the install completed, and you never have to worry about pay timelines ever again. Then we look at every state we're in. Maryland, we used to deal with like 2-3 month installs regularly, right, Joe? Like that's what we used to deal with. We thought that was normal, and now it's average site survey to ready schedules 23 days. Michigan, 23 days. Illinois, Illinois used to be a nightmare when I was dealing with other companies. 26 days. Pennsylvania, brand new state. This one's going to keep coming down. We had to get some AHA registrations on some blockered areas, but now that's good to go. So 32 days, still not bad. Florida, 24 days. Texas, 19 days. Iowa, 16 days. Iowa used to be a shit show as well before we became an installer there. So that's really fast. Georgia, 16 days. And then Virginia, it's a new state. So those timelines will come out very shortly as well. And that ends up sitting us, again, installed a PTO nationwide of 22 days. So that's currently where we stand as a company. I think this is the truth. And I think that's the truth that most companies don't show you, mostly because they either don't have the data or they don't track it or they don't care. I don't know. But this is what you get with us. One other thing you get with us is the average site survey to permit and utility submit is sub 4 days nationwide. And why is that important? Because that's going to determine for setters your M1 pay. So the way M1s work in the company, they're between $500 to $1,200 by division. It's based on the division's volume plus the realization rate. So 500 is standard, but a team like Mambo's, they earn their way to pro, so they got $700 M1s, and other teams can earn their way to $1,200 M1s. Now, what's unique about these M1s, they're triggered at permitting. That triggers the pay to the setter, and if it cancels, there's no clawback. So the setter keeps the cash, the company eats it if it cancels. It starts at 500. Again, you can work your way up to $1,200. That's why those timelines I think are really important, and why I want to highlight that. So that's overall how the company's processing its data currently. Things are flowing, things are moving. Now, the next thing I wanted to tackle, I don't believe in seasonality. I'm sure some of you guys on the call here think that winter time means you slow down. I just disagree with that. I don't think that's a real thing. And I think one thing is for sure is your beliefs will always precede your reality. So whatever you believe, God damn it, it just comes true. So we don't believe in seasonality. We believe in this as a year-round sport. We play 6 days a week and we play all out because we're here to win. And greatness does not happen by chance. It does not happen on part-time behavior. I promise you that. It does not. Maybe for a very slim few it could, but for a majority of people, your likelihood of achieving your dreams is very small if you work on part-time hours. So we do work full-time. And with that, we wanted to tackle the seasonality of the sport, which is when you deal with cold weather markets in the winter, don't get me wrong, things do slow down a bit, right? Door knockers can't actually hit as many doors. They could still knock the doors in the freezing weather, and our guys do, but they just literally can't move as fast door to door. So then we started building out Spartan Leads. I never tried building out Spartan Leads before. It's a virtual call center to in-home close. These are triple confirmed appointments. They know it's leases. They know it's TPO. This is not the bait and switch of like false advertising of the past. Spartan Leads, again, it was a new thing in October. Our goal this year, this quarter, was to create $2 million worth of commissions for our people through Spartan Leads. And we ended up doing more than that in 1 month last month. So I'll just show you the data on it. So last month we did 318 accounts at a 10.8 kilowatt average from Spartan Leads. 41 of them have already been installed. We added in $2.11 million worth of commissions to our people, which is pretty badass. Look at Maryland. They really dialed in their systems with Joe and that team here. We added in 117 clean accounts to their ecosystem. That's 380,000 plus, yeah, just a lot of money being added, over $1 million added in 1 month there. So yeah, Spartan Leads is popping off. This has been a big thing we've been scaling. So our people in the home, our best closers, our best talent can get access to amazing leads. And to do 3.5 megawatts in 1 month is no small feat from leads alone. We will be scaling it up to 4, 5, 6 megawatts a month. We know how to scale it. We know the systems. We know what we're doing. We have great partners in this. And so that and the doors equals 10.2 megawatts. It creates a more sustainable business year round. Because as a leader, as a rep, if you know that you can get an extra 10 to 30% volume every month just from preset appointments you go close, that drastically changes your annual income. And it changes your ability to recruit people, retain people. And so then when we were starting to build this, we knew it was going to be the future. So we started building the tech behind the scenes as well. And the beta version of this is going to drop next week. So soon we'll have Spartan Leads Tech dropped as well, where setters on the doors, our marketing partners, other partners, referrals, all the data will go to our benefactors, which goes through a smart AI routing system where the best closers just get rewarded based off data, right? What makes the best closer? It's close rate, realization rate, missed appointments, missed outcomes, right? All these different data points that tell us how good they are, what they do, should determine their grading as a closer. So what if you could grade every closer on a scale of 1 to 100? Based on everything that matters. Because who gives a fuck about, sorry, I'll curse a lot, about a high close rate if you have a shitty realization rate? You know what I mean? It's like, great, you close a lot, but nothing installs, dude. What are we talking about here? And vice versa, a low close rate but a high realization rate, it's like, it doesn't really work. So the data lies somewhere in between. And so we want to grade every closer on a scale of 1 to 100. We also want to grade all the leads on a scale of 1 to 100, whether it's the doors or virtual. And then using geolocation, we want to be able to route the best leads to the best closers automatically. So we can spit out the most profit, right? So the most people make the most money possible. And we engineer behaviors that way. That's how we engineer behaviors properly. So Spartan Leads is dropping soon. It's going to be an app on the phone. It's pretty revolutionary, to be honest. I think a lot of companies have tried it and no one's actually successfully done something like this that automates this whole process. But inside the tech, you'll see all of your appointments coming up live time. Inside of each appointment, you'll have the full breakdown if you accept the appointment or not. You'll have call recordings so you can hear exactly how that call went with the homeowner. You know exactly what the deal is. AI routing is very clear and sharp. You know exactly how deals are routed. Every division has a bit of their own routing built in. For example, like you could have Johnny that's Spanish speaking, automatically knows to route to Johnny if Spanish, outside of this jurisdiction goes to your virtual closer. So it's very intelligent software. And it allows routing to take place to where, again, the best people get the best leads, so everyone's the happiest. And therefore, as a rep or leader, it holds you to a higher standard, which is actually what you want, right? You want to be forced to become better to get more, and that's how this world should work. But in here, you can track everything. You'll set your availability. Everything is pretty much automated from there. Whether you accept an appointment or decline it, there might be a shot clock. You have 10 minutes to accept, otherwise it reroutes the next best in the game. And then you'll mark the disposition for what happened on the appointment. So we have all the data across the board. So we'll also become like a data machine in the process. So the Spartan Leads Tech, again, beta is dropping next week. It's been working on that since October. So it's a long time coming. A lot of work goes into an app like this. And so hopefully the live version will be live in the next couple of weeks as well. Now, the next thing I want to touch on is like scaling and growing and like where we're at, like the real truth, the real data. A lot of companies are kind of on the decline month over month, week over week. We're just breaking records month over month, week over week. So we're like, there's a lot of like fear in the industry, uncertainty in the industry, pipelines getting stolen, a lot of issues happening. And our number one goal as a company, why we exist, this is, why we exist as a company is to elevate the industry through trust and create uncommon success for the people we serve. We think there's a huge breach of trust in the solar industry. I have been part of that, of not getting paid, and then they don't think we're paying, and it's this whole thing. Or companies stealing pipelines and all of this stuff. And so we want to be part of the new wave, right? That does good business. And we even have a freedom provision in our contract. I'll pull that up later, but it literally states, and the name's meant to be the name for a reason. I like to have fun with the names. But after the best pipeline stealer of all time, baby, let's go. But it says if we're not the best company and you decide to go to a competitor, there is no non-competes. Don't worry, you're still going to get paid and you're not going to get delayed pay. We're not holding your pay to PTO. You'll get paid as if you were here active, even if you leave the company and you're with a competitor. And so that's in our contract. And the reason we put that there is because everyone else likes to keep people in their company through fear. I would rather keep people in the company by being the best. And I'd also rather hear the truth. If we suck and you want to leave to somewhere else, I don't want you to like hide it and go somewhere else and not tell me. I want you to say, "Hey, Alex, you suck. Here's why you suck." So I could go get better, and then we could have direct dialogue, and everyone could feel better in their souls about their ability to communicate the truth. And I think we all would agree we feel better in our souls when we communicate the truth. And so that's why we have that there. Now, as most companies have been declining, again, we've been growing, and I'll show you the stats on it. Last month, we did 940 projects, 10.2 megawatts. I track everything very granularly. A lot of it has to do with what our leaders set as their targets, their forecasting, the capacity of our crews in every market, our utilization rate of our crews. We're very forward thinking so that, as we scale volume fast, you go from 500 to 1,000 sales, how can you not slow installs down? Well, we have a system to make sure we don't slow down as we scale. And so that allows us to inform operations and field for resource management so they can hire appropriately well ahead of time. So there's no delays. So we have the crews ready when it's needed. And so last month we hired 230 people. 95 of them already got their first deal in the first month. Most of them are all veterans coming from other companies. A lot of big names you guys probably know, but can't be disclosed right now are here. 230 new hires, 940 sales, 10.2 megawatts at a 3.5 per rep average. And then one thing I'm really proud of as a company um, is our install leaderboard. I think we have the highest per rep install leaderboard in the nation. And if anyone has a higher install per rep average, let me know. I want to fight that company. I want to fight them. I want to go mano a mano. But here's our install leaderboard year to date. Paul's already at 106 installs. David's at 60. Wes's at 48. Ken's at 45, 43, 35. This is our year-to-date install leaderboard. Metric install deals year to date. This is for our Mykonos competition. So I just want to showcase this. You get an understanding of this is in the winter before things heat up, like where we're at as a company and what's actually happening glass on roof, because that's what inevitably is what matters the most. And there's a lot of companies with a lot of people, and then there's a few people that get really well paid in those companies, but very few companies have this many people making this much money. And I think there's a big delineation between us and most companies for that reason. And so I'll showcase a couple things in here as well before I go into the Optimus, which is the software we built. But as new reps hit their numbers, 2, 5, 10 deals, whatever, they can put their address and their size and it'll auto ship swag. We just did a set of Rolex competition. So shout out to Aswad, Spears, and Khan for annihilating everybody. They're getting 3 Rolexes at the next Spartan Summit. So that'll be fun to give out. We like to incentivize our setters the most. We believe setters are the lifeblood of the company. And we know for a fact that if the setters are happy, they're getting paid. They don't have clawbacks. They just go produce more. And so it makes everyone more money. So it just works out that way. Every team could build their own competitions. It looks like Legion, you guys have your own Rolex competition right here. Right, so every division could build their own as well within the system. A bunch of leaderboards here. This is NZ. I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with it. Knocking app, nothing revolutionary there. Okay, boom. Bunch of training library. Again, I think we do have some of the best closers and the best setters in the nation, as you can see by our scoreboards. And so if you look at here, we have a lot of setter training, closer training, all the live role plays every single week, more or less. We do one live company training by the best setter in the company, by the best closers in the company, by the best leaders in the company. So we like to do a setter training, a closer training, and a leadership training every week. And so you get that high level replay as well, but we just want to keep leveling up as a group. We believe collaboration is required for efficiency. So we do collaborate a lot. All the teams collaborate a lot. We like to share best practices across the board. So now I'm going to move on to Optimus, and I'll show actually a few different logins of this just so you can see some receipts here. So this is the software we built in-house. This really goal here is just radical transparency for our people. Just give them the insights they need to feel good about the work they're doing. So I'm logged in as Joe Youssef. You can see here, everyone can see the red lines. They just click that button. The leaders set the red lines and the splits as well. And the ecosystem, they control the stack, so to speak. It allows everything to be copacetic. But you can see he has 3 deals in the pipeline. His cut of that pipeline value is 22,000, 3 installs. His division's at 57 deals on the month, 29 installs, 6 new recruits. So you can track everything live time here. Commission, swag, all that. But commission, swag, all of it runs through the same system. So if I go to the bank, you can see he's been paid $381,000 this year so far. He's got 321K he's built up in the pipeline. So that's, close to a $700,000 quarter. Not too bad. Commissions like setter, closers, everybody, it's like good for everyone to see everything. So you can live time see everything here. And so setters, you can see your cut of the deal. You see this commission, $11,704. The setter's making 4,600 bucks. You can see the full breakdown on the job, right? So you can see everything in one place, which I think really helps. And unlike a lot of people that have, I think Freedom for one of those companies, like their pipeline balances, everything's way off. This is just accurate. So you actually get paid what you expect. But you can see the breakdown in every job. Looks like Austin's making a ton of money. That's great as a setter. And then it's cool as a leader too. You can actually see how your people are doing, which I think is helpful. Like let's look at Armando, how he's doing. Armando's already made $78,000 this year with another 102K in the pipeline. That's great. Dan Moore, this is just one team. 148K paid this year with 43K in the pipeline. Kevin Spears, he's the setter. He's killing it. 41K in the pipe, 41K paid, 26K in the pipe. Where's some other people? So like you can actually just see how everyone's doing in one place. I think it's helpful. Kasim, he's made 47K as a setter with 54K in the pipeline. So you got good visibility over everybody, which I think is helpful. And like I'll even log in as my boy LaFraser right here if it doesn't spell check me. Boom. And so we go to the bank. Let's look at some of the people in the Legion because they're killing it as well. Brandon Forrester, right? Because a lot of you guys know him. He's already been made 75K this year, 32K in the pipe, pretty much the whole time as a setter. Look at Georgia, 35K, 47K in the pipe. Like most people here are pacing to have their, like minimum 100K. A lot of people are pacing for 250 plus. The averages here as a company are way higher than most companies. Most companies don't have setters making this much money either. 65K, 68K in the pipeline. And I was at Bash Kim, another setters, 86K in the paid, 58K in the pipeline. I like to showcase what the setters are doing too. Let's look at Dom LaFrazo, 60K paid, 83K in the pipeline. So you can see a lot of people are having like $100,000 quarters, which I think is a good, healthy place. Earl Arnett came over from Freedom, was a great closer there. Good example of this too. This year, he's already made 145K with 250K in the pipeline. Just closer, self-gener, just gets to work all on his own, right, Joe? Like he just goes and does the job. That's all he does. Joe, is there anyone else I should click on this? There's like a million people killing it. You can see
You can
everyone's
show
paid this
Josh.
week.
Josh has been
But
here for, you can show Josh. He's been here for a little bit over a month.
Josh has been here for a month. He's made 11K paid, 65K in the pipeline his first month here. Not bad. A lot of people know him through the industry. Anyone else I should click?
Ken.
Where is Sir Ken? Yeah, I'll find it later. Ken's made, what's Ken made?
A lot. Check here.
How much he made? A lot. Anyway, so just wanted to show some of the receipts, guys. Like this is what people are getting paid live time. We never have delayed pay. The only thing we ever have to do sometimes is pay people early. I don't know if anyone here from Spartan has gotten those texts that you're getting paid early. So sometimes we have to pay people early because we're paying out too much money that week. So we pay people earlier. So hopefully that's okay with you guys to get paid earlier. And then you like as a leader and as a rep, you can actually see your whole pipeline here. So you can see all the jobs in the pipeline in one place. It's good for setters too, right? How often do setters not know what's going on with their projects? It happens all the time. That's one of the frustrations I feel like I ran into was that. So you can see all your jobs here. You can see, what stage they're in, site review, engineering, permitting, NRTS, RTS. They have 11 installs scheduled. We have geofencing on every home for our homeowners. You guys have all used Uber, right? So it's like nice to be able to track where the car's at. So our homeowners can track where our crews are at live time with the click of a button. They know where the crews are at. They know when they started work. They know what they're doing. And with that geofencing, you get alerted when an install started as well, and it goes to install in progress. You actually know when the crew has arrived on site. You can look at your install calendar, right? So it looks like they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 today. And this is just going to pile up every single day. I mean, I think we're scheduling another 15 for Maryland right now, like today. So you can track everything in one spot. install complete, the name, whatever stage. But the important thing is everyone can see everything at all times. And if you want to check on a guy and see how someone in your team's doing, you can look at his pipeline. Like this is a healthy pipeline. Very few cancels. Like this is what we call good business. This is Ken's pipeline. Like pretty much everything's going to glass on roof, which happens when you do really good business. You have your typical leaderboard functionality, so you can see everything happening here. The realization rate as a company, 77%, where we're at so far in the month. You can look at kilowatts, which is the only thing I really care about. You can track everything. Recruitment hub, this is good for recruiters. So a lot of people like to bring people in, but what's the financial incentive if you're not a leader? Here we have a recruiting residual program. You get $25 a kilowatt for life on your recruits. It comes out of their commission. You can track the days, their signed kilowatts, installs, days to first deal, bonus paid. A lot of our leaders, they'll actually make other people the recruiter, right? So they get the benefit of training them. And then any rep can just click add recruit and onboard them, and it just gets sent to the leader where they finalize it all. And so that's really how this thing's ended up shaking out. Let me go back here. Actually, no, this is a good one. So, like the division heads will be able to onboard everyone at the click of a button. Very simple. They have their own division portal right here, so they can just automate everything. Nothing to really think about. The red line, the split, everything. We built out this new thing called the setter captain page as well, which is pretty cool. It's actually like a good example of like the best idea wins in this company. So Legion had this idea to build a setter captain role in the software, like the first week into March. And then by the end of March, we had it live April 1st, this new role. And so we can see Lath has already earned, and I think he's splitting it with Riggers, 37,000 from being a setter captain. And so you can actually build setter captains out, add the assignments. You're like, hey, this setter is going to go to this captain. It's going to be a 10-cent adder on the deal, so it doesn't come out of overrides, right? This closer and the setter equally pay for it. You could choose the amount you want it to be, right? Because they're getting incentivized to get this deal live because they're the one training the setters to make it all happen. And boom, you create the assignment, it automates everything, nothing to think about, everyone's getting paid. So in 14 days, Lath and Riggers have built up a $37,000 setter captain pipeline. They've already been paid 885 of that. So pretty cool to see like how fast, when you're performing, you're executing, but then the software gives everyone the clarity they need and the automated pay. So there's nothing to think about. We've all dealt with at various companies who are like sending in Google Sheets and you're like texting people and you're hoping payroll figures it out. It's just a freaking nightmare, especially if you're doing dope things like this. And then we even built it out where like leaders have a stack manager. So you can actually see your available stack in the pipeline, all that you've used in the pipeline, what you've allocated to your people. And you could assign various overrides to various people at the click of a button. It's really, really easy. You could select the recipient, you click the amount, like $22 a kilowatt. You want to give it to these people. There's the balance, create the allocation. And so you can incentivize all your people to go win, which I think is really useful. And that's why Legion, is a good example of like a team that's been here locked in since January of last year with us. When we launched the install originally in Maryland, they've been locked in the whole time in the same market. And I think, everyone hears of the eighth one of the world, which is compound interest. But compound business is significantly bigger paydays than compound interest. I promise you that. If you can compound business in the right vehicle for a long enough period of time over the next 5 years, it drastically changes your life. And so, just for a case study of this, I ran the data on Legion. Last year in January, there were 6 people on the team. And it took them 75 days to do 100 clean accounts. We have higher standards for clean accounts. A lot of companies accept signatures and like perfect packet. Like, no. We have like a 21 AI question welcome call. It has to be the homeowner. Usage has to be right. For new people coming in, it's a little bit difficult because guess what? We actually want the consumer to be happy. We want 5-star reviews. We don't want complaints. We don't want escalations. We want lenders to get paid. We want collection rates to be high. So yeah, we have a higher standard for business. And that's the only companies that are going to live and survive the next 5 years, to be honest. So we're one of the few that will make it. But with that being said, they went from 75 days to do 100 clean accounts. Flash forward to this year, they're now doing about 100 clean accounts every 10 days, which is incredible to see that kind of growth happen from a team. The 75 days to 100 now to every 10 days to do that, soon to be every 5 days to do 100 clean accounts as one division. Like that doesn't happen by chance. It happens by design. It happens by having good systems, good leadership, and an operation tech and everything that aligns with all of that, so you don't have all the big friction or bottlenecks you have at most companies. And so when you kill that, you could just grow and grow a lot more than you probably would expect. And we're seeing a lot of teams doubling and growing. You saw we onboarded 230 new recruits. And Joe, like you went from 6 people to now, how many people you have onboarded?
136 now.
136 people in 15 months. And that's like not like it's an amazing story, but it's not like a unique story. Like we're seeing a lot of teams grow by crazy rates just because of this. And it's all organic, all natural, all just happens automatically. We even built out a Blitz portal. We used to have a lot of people with Blitz, not so much anymore, but just a cool tool to have in your tool belt, right? So say you're going to Tampa, Florida, God bless you if you want to go there. You are a brave man. Say you're with the Awake division and you're running a Blitz, and normally you have to be like a debt collector. You're like, how do you like, pay for the Blitz and how do you give people skin in the game? You just mark it as self-pay. Say you're Anton. You just add all the participants in on the blitz, whoever they are, put their role in, and then you're like, hey, we're all doing $500. Closer's doing $1,000 on this blitz to cover the expense. Hit submit, it'll add them to the blitz. They'll accept their blitz. It'll put a clawback in their bank. And once they have cash coming in above 500, it'll redistribute that out to you as the leader. So you can have skin in the game and not be, holding the bag forever, right? Which I think is a great tool to have as a leader, especially when you still might run blitzes. Then, of course, we have our install map. You've already seen that. We have our toolkit. So I like to give everyone like a ton of tools for every market, us versus Sunrun, us versus other companies. And it's like all based on data, based on their contracts, like the real difference between us all. We like to showcase our records too as a company, or, maybe you want to have like a utility specific close and you want all the data there and just like you're in a new market, you're trying to figure it out. Like what can you show the customer? And like BG&E, we built this up for them. You can see like, something you show the customer in the home that shows exactly what's going to happen over the next 5 years, where it's going, where every dollar and every bill actually goes. Just good visuals, right? I think humans are just hearing and seeing creatures. And so the more they can see what you say, the more likely it will click and resonate. And then why us, right? So just we like to have a lot of tools in your tool belt, so to speak. Now, one thing a lot of our people in Spartan are pushing for, it's why most people skipped the Thailand company trip we just did. They want to become partner, and shout out to Joe Lafraise on Legion. Like they're on pace to not just becoming partner, but smoking it. And becoming partner in the company is a pretty big deal. Most companies have shares and incentive units, et cetera, which for most companies are worthless because their owners have never exited or done anything cool. But they say it like it's real, so they just keep preaching it. I like to do the truth and be more honest than that. We do offer shares and incentives, and my partner actually has exited for 100 million. So if it were to happen, it'd probably happen with us, unlike most companies. But we just want to be the pound for pound best company in the world, right? We just got to be the most profitable, best company in the world. That's how you take care of everybody and everything. So that being said, though, wouldn't it be cool if you could earn a profit share on the entire company? So our leaders are really pushing for this. You get 300 installs in a 6 month period between you and your team. That's the first half or second half of the year. You actually get $10 a kilowatt on the entire company. So we already have two partners. We're soon to have more this year. Probably like two or three more people hit it. But what's cool is based on our new install volume that's going to be hitting this month and next month, like our partners will be pacing to make about an extra 45 to $60,000 a month, plus what they make on their own team, plus what they make on their own sales. So if you look at that, that's basically how you guarantee retirement, right? I think, if you really want to think long term, like what does the next 3 to 5 years look like? Like what are you after? I think it's finding a way to deploy $3 million into cash flowing assets that cash flow between 5 to 10%. If you do so, you're pretty much guaranteeing 150 to $300,000 a year passively. And that's something everyone here on this call could achieve if they really wanted to, and you're willing to fight to the death for it. Like you could do that. And I think becoming a partner is just like that guarantee and making sure that happens. I want a lot of people in Spartan to get rich. I want people in Spartan to become partner because also selfishly, I want partners in the company to help all the other divisions level up. When you get to this volume, this scale, you must be at that point a systematic leader. You have to have good systems, you have to have good processes, and you have to have blueprints that level all your people up. You're probably good at delegating. So a lot of things have to take place to hit these numbers typically for a leader. And so therefore you might be at a place and you have to be at a place where you can now help other divisions scale up too, which is another benefit all the divisions get is like having access to people that are doing it at a high level. So you get free education to skip, figuring it out. It's very smart to skip the figuring it out stage wherever possible. Like if you could just skip to the truth and get the blueprint, like in the gym, if you just got the truth from day one and knew what to do from day one, the best of the best was given to you, how to eat, how to train, you would be drastically different looking than you are today, and myself included. And I wish I got that blueprint from day one. Took 15 years to get that blueprint, but I finally got it. But we'd rather just give that to you from day one. So this is what a lot of people push for. Then of course we have our company chat, tons of energy. We do a lot of public accountability in the company. We only deal with active deals, no bragawats, 10 to 30 sales plus a day or more. Just a good energy in the team. We have one thing we do have in the company, which is unique, is like, it's very sales forward because we want to make sure everyone has the communication they need to be effective in the home. So we have 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days a week sales support. So your guys could get, half the team in the sales support were expert designers in Aurora, so they'll optimize designs, find ways to help you get higher PPWs, help you with change orders on holds. They'll respond within 30 seconds, a minute. They're very fast at responding. But you have sales support 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., project management support 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. But a lot of what you need at other companies, because you don't know what's going on with the project, you don't have that problem here. You have visibility on the very detailed, minute details of every project by the minute updates within every project. I'm not going to go into that today, but like you have visibility to everything you need to answer all of your own questions. Most companies do not have the level of visibility we provide. Like you can see everything. You can see the site survey photos. You can see the engineering plans. You can see what minute of the day this thing was submitted, what minute of the day it was approved or blocked. Like you know everything. So that gives you the visibility you need to be effective. Now, last couple of things I'll show you guys that we're working on. We have a retention team we're building out as well because I think a lot of the value is not only saving deals. We built out a system where I'm sure you guys have seen like retention teams where you lose if a retention team saves your deal that cancels, like you lose most of your money and therefore you hate it. We're building a retention team where like the leaders in the company are actually going to eat that cost. So reps will pretty much make and lose no money when a retention team saves the deal, which is pretty epic if you ask me, because I've never seen anyone do it this way. So we're building out a whole retention system. It's live right now. It's very AI focused, but it allows everyone to shield deals if they need to shield it. See the PPW system size, the floor and pricing, so the retention teams knows what they're working with. They're able to contact them and then more importantly, collect a ton of data on why they canceled, what's happening live time. So we have all the data we need to not only save the deals, and then AI scripts come in and give them literally the best script on God's green earth for saving a deal and collecting data. And then they're able to customize it live time as well with AI. But also for us, selfishly, wouldn't it be nice to know why everything happens the way it happens and build training around the problems? So we have this built in where as we collect all the data, we'll know how every deal is saved, why every deal cancels, and it'll automatically generate training for an individual rep, for a division, for a company, based on all the data ever collected. So therefore, you end up with less cancels because you know the root cause of maybe what you're saying wrong, what you need to include that you're not including. So now you're going to actually be able to level up to a degree you've never been able to level up before. Because if you have a 50% cancel rate, if you could just go to 40%, your life changes. If you could go to 30%, like game over, you know what I mean? Like you don't need to sell more solar, you just need to install more. So not only are you going to be saving a ton of deals, we did the math, we'll probably be adding about $4.2 million to commissions from save deals. So reps don't even lose their commissions on this, which is pretty insane to have a whole program that doesn't cost them money. But also, and my Spartan Solar reps don't even know about this. We're announcing it tomorrow. So I see some people from Spartan here like don't even know about this. But we're announcing this tomorrow, this program. But also we're a data collection machine for all of that. So you could work the queue, we could build the best setter training, closer training around the reasons why things happen. And then, we track a ton of data too. Like, we want to look at everything on everything, like cases, issues, like we want to grade every deal on a scale of 1 to 100 the second it gets sold, right? Like, what's the likelihood this customer is going to be happy? What's the likelihood this customer is going to have be a complaint or an escalation based on everything that happened in that deal? How it was sold, what it was sold. And no companies are thinking this far forward. I can guarantee you this. So our software is going to look at every utility, the retail rate, the export rate, the gap, what we expect to happen over the next 5 years, the layer reach cap, the optimal offsets, system sizing based on with battery, without battery, why that's better, what it maximizes, what it doesn't do. And then it'll grade based on all data of all complaints, everything on the ether within our own company. It'll be able to grade every deal a second it was sold on a scale of 1 to 100, based on the happiness level of that and likelihood of that homeowner paying their bills and being stoked on solar. And I think that's a worthy pursuit because the more happy customers we have, the more the money from the capital markets keeps giving to the lenders, the more everyone can achieve their goals and financial futures that they're looking for. Most people don't think about that, but that is where without them, we are nothing. And so that's all happening. We look at all the markets, right? Where we expect the rates to go to in every state. Like where's optimal? Where's moderate? What we expect the future to look like in every state? Where is there severe rate hike pressure based on data centers? AI demand is expecting to 4x by 2030, for data. Like what markets look good today are hot now. Why are they hot? Based on rates today, rates in 5 years, annual increase, net metering type, average system size, production factor. So a lot of this goes into making us decide like where we want to be as a company, where we are now. We're in 9 states about to be, or 9 states about to be 10 states. We're going to expand into Delaware. It's a 78 out of 100. We think that's a future market for a lot of reasons. It's right next to our other states. And so, we use a lot of intelligence to make decisions. I think a lot of companies just go on a whim. They're like, oh, we have sales here and people are selling here. We should open here. No, no, no. We have like data. We want to look at the next 5 years and make good decisions in the next 5 years. And so the last thing I'll leave you with you guys is this. We look at the 5 year window. This is based on a lot of data. Not me. This is just based on a lot of data put together. And this was actually built about a month ago. And a lot more things have happened since then. So you'll see how this already kind of is predicting the future, which is funny. But we look at like what's happening in the solar industry right now. So let's go here. So the market right now, 2026 to last year, this year, 33% contraction year over year, decline in volume. However, we've seen an uptick from 45 to 70% and ever increasing in the TPO share with 48E. And so what's happening in 2026, the bad is overall market volume's down. There's a lot of tax equity market partially freezing due to regulatory uncertainty, a lot of which happened from the big beautiful bill. Hardware costs rising from tariffs. Like for you guys who don't know, like every installer is paying about double for equipment they were paying before. Like that's a big increase. Now there is domestic, but it's still like a big change overall. Consumer skepticism can be rising because a lot of companies going BK. You have Sonova, SunPower was bought out. We'll see how that goes. The name brand at least. Mosaic, Everbright's a failure as well. A lot of people loved Everbright. Like that was a ticking time bomb from the beginning because they had no guardrails in place. You could just do bad business in their platform. The good though is the increase in TPO share is a huge market share opportunity, which Lightreach is fully capturing. 48E gives us to 2031 with safe harboring. Utility rates are nationally up 7.4%. Module supply constraints favor the best companies, right? The big established providers like Spartan. So we have domestic till 2031 all secured. A lot of competitors are collapsing in some ways. So freedom forever, right? Obviously, we know what's happening with them now. Probably, unless they have a big Hail Mary today with some crazy investor that wants to buy big liability, I think they're done. I think they had 18 sales on Saturday. So I think they're toast. But they laid off 60% of the workforce, gone in 5 weeks. Luckily for us, as we grow and scale, we get to pick up a lot of their crews. So it's kind of a perfect juxtaposition between growth and failure. Legacy Power, 40% layoffs in March 9th. They exited a lot of our markets. They can't sustain it. Attorney General is after them. Sunrun's going to stay in business because they're a publicly traded company. They do have $1 billion of interest a year to service, which is roughly 35% of the revenue. But according to an Alt Zeman score, which is a pretty methodical scoring on companies, they do have a 46.5% bankruptcy probability over the next 5 years, which is probably pretty accurate unless Trump comes in and does some drastic changes with tax credits, which I actually think in the next 12 months there will be some drastic changes coming across the finish line for in favor of the solar industry. Got some insider information. You might be seeing some really cool stuff coming. But anyway, Sunrun's a solid company actually overall. It's not like the best operational company, but they're like a solid financial company overall. Good Leap, right? That's just a shit storm. FBI investigation. They had to shut down Florida and Texas. Why? Most people don't know this. It's because their collection rate's so shitty. They fell below 95% collection rate. Why do customers stop paying, guys? Because they were misled. They were defrauded. They didn't get what they expected, so they stopped paying. So that's what that tells everybody. And so their investment paper has been getting graded down below almost sub-investment grade. They've let down a lot of investors on their performance because they just have bad systems. Palmetto Lightreach, we're all in with them. We're their second largest partner. We're number one on install and PTO submission pass rate. But like, why? Most people don't even know any of this stuff. So it's cool to know because most of your leaders don't even know this shit. They have the tightest cost of capital in the industry. So that just means like if me, you, and three other people go to a bank today and we all go to get loans, we all want the same money. Do we all get different interest rates? Yep. Yep, someone's going to get a great deal. Someone's not going to get so great of a deal, but we all take what we can get, right? So that's how it works with these lenders. They all go to the same places for their money and they give different deals based on performance. So Lightreach gets it at 225 basis points, which is very cheap cost of capital. Sunrun's around 240 plus. GoodLeap is 265 and counting if they can even raise anymore. NFEN, I don't even know, they're not even in the picture. But like they have the cheapest cost of capital. Why? Because they have the highest collection rate, the average FICO is really high, and their assets perform. It's just data. They actually put 33% of their profit back in every deal. So they own the cash flow and they care about its success long term, which is why they're the most strict lender as well. And they're the first like anti-fraud operation. They rejected Freedom Forever, they rejected Legacy, and they rejected Bright Planet. Why? Because a lot of bad business goes to their doors. At scale, if the company doesn't put in a lot of guardrails to protect it, like even if the company means well, If the company doesn't put in the guardrails, they're inviting inevitable fraud. It just is what it is. And so whether they want to take blame for it, they say it's the sales dealer or this, it's like at the end of the day, it's up to you as the installer to create the system to guarantee the result and nobody else. And so luckily for us, Lightreach has protected us against bad actors. So we look at the next 5-year window as like, a lot of competitors are collapsing. You could see our growth, right? We just doubled in 1 month, 230 new recruits. We can see where it's going. We can see what's happening over the next 5 years. Safe harboring gives us a clear runway to continue to sell solar, make a ton of money. And what's cool about Lightreach is even if Lightreach lost, like say tax credits were gone tomorrow, which they're not, we have till 2031, they still have a system set up to where within 10 to 20 cents, it would still work without the tax credit, which is pretty cool to know. And so the 90-day priority, right? We see a lot of displacement. Our main priority, though, as we have displacement from these companies, is like we don't let any bad actors in. Lightreach just sent us a list of banned reps we will not work with and cannot work with. Anyone that has flags, anyone that does bad business is like we're just killing all bad actors in the space. That's what's needed to be done. But luckily for us, the rates are going up. Shifts are happening, a lot of competitor displacement. We have a long tailwind for 48E where we can keep selling the TPO. Utility rates are compounding. Data centers are expecting to triple demand by 2030. I think this is the best market in the history of solar it's ever been. Anyone in the space that's in the right opportunity for the next 5 years and plays this out properly, like you will make more money than you've ever made before. All the bad actors fall apart. All the best of the best, they just like will stack at a rate you've never experienced because the cost of power is skyrocketing. It is inevitable. I think there's going to be a lot of favorable shifts on the political hands as well in favor of solar very soon. And people need to pay for power. So it's like this perfect storm. And if you could be in the right business with the right reviews and the right experience, you're going to just capture a bigger market share. So anyway, we know a lot of what's happening in the industry, what we need to do. Main thing is maintaining the highest quality control guardrails in the solar industry. So guys, I know I just threw, that was a lot of speaking. I know I just threw a lot of stuff at you guys, but yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Joe, I don't know if you or Carson or anyone else has anything they want to add to it, but just wanted to give you guys the scoop, share the screen, show what's up, and let you guys make the best decision for you.
Yeah, all that was great. One more thing that I'll add on, just like the growth that my team has seen going from, 6 reps to like 136. It truly is because, Alex listens to everything that we say. And, the motto that best idea wins is something we really do live by. And if we see, a hole in the business or where we can be more effective or something we could implement for our team, the division, that, is just going to help us with growth, we bring that stuff to Alex and he just takes automatic action on it. So, setting up like the setter managers or doing anything like that, as soon as we tell him, if it's going to grow the overall business, he takes action and makes it happen. So, that has been absolutely pivotal, just working with a leader that you can actually bring things to and action's going to happen as a result of it. And it's been a huge piece of just the growth of our team.
No, spot on. Yeah. I mean, there's a saying, if you ignore the whispers, you'll hear the screams, right? There's been a time in my life where I didn't listen very well to feedback and I thought I knew best and I thought I had all the answers and I thought things were great and got complacent and I got and lost millions of dollars. I lost 80% of the company, 90% of the company had to rebuild. So I've got before for my own uh, fallacies and I try not to repeat history. I've learned my lesson and I don't want to repeat those $1 million lessons again. And so now it's just like, I just want the best leaders, the best operators all under one umbrella because great companies are just made of great people. So if we can have the greatest people under the same company, we have the chance of being the greatest company in the industry. And that's all I'm trying to do is assemble the Avengers, assemble the best of the best, get all the feedback from all the people that have the pattern recognition and have the information at the floor level so we can keep evolving as a company and become the company everyone would be proud to work for.
Yeah, Alex, can I just add something really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, our group came over, a little over a month ago. It's cool. We just got I think our first installs today, which is
Let's
super dope.
go.
But I just like my urge to everyone that's on this call is like the solar industry is not what it was before. And like Alex just went through, the finance companies and installers and all these things that are having a tough time or had a hard time and going out of business. Like we went through a bankruptcy with Pure Light, and I think a lot of people don't know the full story, but we had $5.2 million in the bank, and our private equity group pulled the plug on it. and like we were still in position to stay in business, but like they pulled the plug on it. And one of the like the most attractive thing for myself with Spartan is the guardrails to have like longevity in the industry. Like there's still money to be made in solar. And Alex, to your point, I personally believe as well that like the greatest time in solar is still yet to come with the data centers, the rate increases, everything that we have going on.
Yeah.
And the reality is it's like if you want to be long lasting in the industry, there's just going to be a lot of things that you like and there's going to be things that you don't like. Having more guardrails, people don't like that, you know? We really don't. And you look at how real estate's changed. You look how real estate lending has changed, and that's just how it has to be with solar. And it's been shocking how cool the plans are that you guys have. Brian's kind of heading up the guardrails with Light Reach with you, Alex. Brian Schombeck, who I actually worked for when I first got into solar. And he's the one that is Alex's partner who exited. But again, it's like there's things where, to me, what was attractive about Spartan is the longevity that I see in it by doing things the right way and just trying to get ahead of regulation and trying to not just get ahead of it, but be a part of it. Like the Spartan intake form, Alex didn't really hit on this super hard, but this was like what drew me to Spartan was the Spartan intake form, which is what the future of solar and selling solar actually looks like. And it not only protects the company, but it protects the rep and it protects the consumer. And that's what we ultimately want. And if that's like not something that you want or care about, like the reality, and this is the harsh reality, is like you probably don't have a future in this business. And then the other two things that were just super attractive to us was um, if you're running a team, have ambitions to run a team, anything like that, the partner thing is super cool. But like if you're currently running a team right now, like our group did almost half of our volume last month as our first month from Spartan leads. Like that's one of the most wicked, badass things ever. Like our volume and production just doubled. So overrides doubled. Our closer deals doubled. And then additionally, the Spartan recruiting and being able to have corporate like, hey, let's go in and let's help catapult your team. So it really is a springboard and like the ideal company, like being on our ELT call yesterday with the higher up leadership in different departments. Like guys, I haven't never been a part of something so fast paced and like, hey, we need this, we need to work on this. We had some second site surveys that were happening with some of our deals across the company and it was like, all right, let's pull these guys into this call. And it was like, okay, from here on out, we will never have another second site survey. And the entire team for like half the day just dove into it and figured out what the deal was. And like being a part of like a company where everyone's that passionate about making it the best is really badass. So again, props Alex to you for building this and bringing in Brian and Ali and like all the partners that you've been able to bring in and help people catapult and really build what I think is going to be, the best private solar company that's out there. So yeah, big shout out, and we've had a great experience so far. So appreciate you.
No, I appreciate that, Carson. And last thing I'll leave with you guys is like right now as a leader, or you want to grow, you want to build, you want to scale, your best friend is eyeballs. The more attention you can have on you, the more energy, the more momentum, versus the opposite, right? Of like, if you're just fighting for survival, looking for water, food, and shelter, like most companies, and they're at the place where they're like, these companies are drowning. And I don't know if you've ever tried to save someone that's drowning. I have. And when you do that, one thing you have to look out for is they might drown you. Why? Because they're trying to survive. And so a lot of companies are just swiping pipelines, doing crazy adders, doing whatever they can to survive. And that's just because they're drowning. And when you're in the abundant side, you're on the other side, you innovate, you create, you build the future. And very few companies have the resources. We have 24 months of cash on hand, which means we could have no money coming in and pay our operations for the next 24 months. Very few companies, if any, can say that. And so there's a lot of protection here. And I think that's a really important piece. And then you as a leader or a rep, like if you're behind a system and a machine that has a lot of engagement, a lot of people are watching what's happening. They're seeing people winning, and it's true. It's not Fugazi Fugazi. you're able to grow at an accelerated rate. Like our leaders are not growing by addition, they're now growing by multiplication. And that doesn't happen in most companies. In fact, it's very difficult to create an environment that does that. It took me 9 going on 10 years to foster this environment, to build the systems, the operations, the tech, everything that had to come together. It took freaking 10 years and is now being actualized where people could see the vision meeting reality. And it's 10 years in the making that people here get to capture day one. You get to capture 10 years of grit and effort and caring to day one and be able to absorb talent and grow at a rate you've never had before, which for most people that care about growing and building, it's one of the more fun parts of the business. That'll set you on fire. And the last thing I'll leave you with is like, I can't resurrect the dead. If you got no life in you, you don't have the push, you got trauma, like I'm not here to resurrect you. I do not resurrect the dead. That's not something I'm capable of doing. However, if you got life in you, you got fire in you, I will pour gasoline down your throat and light you on freaking fire, and so will the company. So I'll leave you guys with that. Have a great day. Enjoy the week. I hope y'all break some records and don't die out there, okay? Let's rock and roll.